There we go. Well, welcome to Planning a Meaningful Summer. I am Roxana, and I am here with Jenny, and we're going to present sort of in rapid form a lot of ideas about different ways that students can do things over the summer that might help them understand what they might want to major in or other areas of interest besides what they're seeing in school. And really make use of their summer time. This is really just a place to get started. Like I said, we're going to throw out a ton of ideas. We're going to show you a ton of different websites actually at the end of the presentation to give you an idea of what we mean when we talk about some of these places students can go. Hopefully, this is a really good way to start generating some ideas for students. And it's a first place to start. We would love to see students in our office, having gone through the material that's in this presentation, come in and say, okay, it got me thinking about this, this, and this. What do you think I should do? And we love talking with students about what they might be able to do over the summer. And the fact is, after you see this presentation, you might actually already be doing a lot of the things that we're talking about, which is even better. So why is summer important? I think the biggest thing is that students have more time over the summer than they do during the school year. You're not stuck in your 7:30 to 3 p.m. classes. And by having more time, you have more flexibility with your schedule. The second point is that students are not necessarily overwhelmed with schoolwork. Now, if they're doing summer school, they might have some work to do. But if you're not overwhelmed with schoolwork, you actually have a little bit more time. The other thing about summer is that you're not tied to reading and taking tests and going to lectures based off of sort of the 5 curricular areas in high school. Summer is a great time where students can investigate anything they're interested outside of class, or maybe they want to go deeper into something that a class touched on, but they didn't get a chance to really go into it. I've had a student who said, I'm really fascinated by World War II, and we spent a week on it in class. But what I decided to do was listen to these podcasts, which we'll get to in a little bit, to kind of further and deepen his knowledge. So you have a little bit more time to get in touch with what your interests really are. And when you have flexibility, time, and an interest, to us, it's really just a massive opportunity in terms of something that you can do to learn more about yourself. So what happens is, yes, you've got flexibility, you've got time, you've got interest, and there's all of these opportunities out there. And our hope is that students will, after they spend a little time thinking about it, take the initiative in the areas or activities or opportunities that make the most sense for them. So here's 5 things to think about, and I sort of added this reflective picture of the chair by itself looking out on the beautiful lake, and that this might take a little time sitting down, having a notebook, for students to start to think about some of the things that can impact what they do over the summer. It's not always easy to just sit down, what are my interests? But what we're hoping is that you'll spend a little bit of time to stop and think about what your interests are, what it is maybe you like in school, or what do you do outside of school? Where do you find yourself when you're, looking at things on the internet? What are the articles that you just always want to read or, don't want to stop reading? Start to think about what those interests are. Is it politics? Is it physical therapy? Is it nutrition? Does it relate to graphic design or photos? It doesn't really matter what the interest is, to be honest, but it does take a little time to sit down and think about it. Another way to look at it is, what would you like to learn more about or experience? Consider this sort of maybe a high school bucket list. What are some things that you want to make sure that you learn while you're in high school and also experience? How much time do I have? You might have other things going on over the summer. We absolutely understand that. We also want you to have some downtime to relax and recharge. So I think you want to be realistic. Do you have, 2 hours? Do you have 2 months? And to think about what makes sense, or is there something that you want to do for a week, but you can also do something else that might only take a couple hours in a podcast? The other question is, where do you want to be? Do you want to be at home? Do you want to travel? Do you want to go someplace outside of the United States? Do you want to go to try out and see what college life is like at a particular university? We're going to go through a lot of different options in that. And then the last part is I think as you're sort of evaluating different things that you might be looking at, what is it that you hope to learn? And it can be something as simple as, I want to learn if pre-med is really for me. Or I want to learn, what does it really mean to major in marketing? It can be pretty simple questions, or they could be really complex if there's a particular area that you're really excited about and have sort of more of a deep knowledge. Okay, so my first slide in terms of suggestions is take a course. There are tons of places. You've got Coursera, you've got edX, you've got CreativeLine, and those are just a few of places where you can take classes to learn anything from a skill to deeper knowledge in Java programming. Coursera and edX are most of them are free courses, and the courses are actually from institutions of higher learning. So you've got University of Texas courses, you've got Harvard courses, MIT courses. Typically, students don't need to take them for credit, but oftentimes they're in areas that students are really, aren't getting a lot of instruction in high school. Or maybe they take a particular, like an economics class, but there's nothing else they can take at high school level. Most of them are self-paced, and they're kind of an easy thing to fit in, but they're a great way to show initiative. CreativeLive is more related to students who are interested in the creative arts, but they can they can learn Photoshop, they can learn, editing tools for video or how to do a particular type of creative endeavor. Those cost a little bit of money, but most of them, relatively speaking to what camps cost in this day and age, is not expensive at all. So that's really one of the areas where students can take a lot of initiative, but actually not have to spend a lot of time. And at the end, I'll show those websites, and we'll kind of go through and just kind of see, so you can see what's there.
And another option is definitely getting involved within your community. So you hear a lot of talk around community service, and why is it important? Well, first and foremost, studies have shown that if getting involved in community service can actually help your student feel more connected, and even reduce the risk of things like depression. So because it increases like a sense of purpose and life satisfaction. So above all, that it looks good on a college application, it's actually very meaningful work for the student to get out and see something beyond his or her high school bubble. So some of the suggestions that we have in order to get involved with your community are things like interning at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula. If you're into academics or science and math, that might be a great way to help give back to the community and also utilize your strengths. There's also equine therapy. So if you're, somebody that wants to major in vet science or help with, psychology or something like that, even getting involved in that type of service might be a great way to connect your learning with something that is helping others. And then some of these are all linked as well, so you can click on them and they will take you directly to the website. But the Hiller Aviation Museum Flight Teen Volunteer. So if you were into physics or wanting to learn more about flying or becoming your own pilot or any of those kinds of things, that might be a great place to volunteer over the summer that's a little bit unique and different from what other students might be doing. There's the Fit Kids Junior Coach Program, where you would work with underprivileged students who are looking for summer camps to better their fitness and get moving each day. or the teen advisory group at Belmont Public Library, or even your teen advisory council in your community. I know a lot of students get involved in their local government. So if there's something that you were looking to major in political science or get involved in terms of finding other things for teens to do within your community or have some suggestions, a teen advisory group would be a great way to get involved with that. And then things like Curiosity Leadership Development Program, again, that's more helping students and learn leadership skills. And I believe it's 8th through 12th graders that can get involved with that program. And you work in a camp type setting to develop those leadership skills. Or even the birthday party project. So that's helping homeless youth be able to have a normal birthday party, or even transitional families that are living in transitional housing, that you would go and help those children have, normal birthday parties that maybe they wouldn't have the opportunity to have. So these are all kind of different avenues to help other community members within your community, but also easy ways that you can take initiative and do something that's has some longevity, rather than something that's just volunteering for 2 hours here or volunteering for 2 hours there.
Thank you. And I would say that, this whole list actually came from just looking at Volunteer Match and putting in sort of the close geographic area. So that's a great place to go for students to just see what's out there and what organizations. In the search box, you can click teen so that you know that you're only looking at the opportunities that are open to teenagers. So besides taking courses, right, having to enroll in something and, probably watch lectures and things like that, another way that students can take a little initiative in areas that they're interested in and learn more is from podcasts. So it can be as simple as you got an iPhone, you have a podcast icon. You can go in and you can start to search by things that you're interested in. I just put a couple of things here. There's a Health Matters conference, which we'll talk about in a little bit, under the events section. But that conference basically turned the whole last year's conference into podcasts. So even if you couldn't attend, you now can watch the podcasts. I had a student that was really into hardcore history. And that's something you can just type it into Google, check it out. It goes really in depth into different aspects and time periods of history. There's also, if you're a science buff and you want to know something else and go deeper, I simply clipped this off of the Science Magazine website. So they have webinars and podcasts. But, if you're interested in cancer and immunotherapy, right? This is a place to start. Now, we don't expect a student to understand everything that they see online with some of these webinars or even podcasts, but it at least gets your mind going to think about the things that you need to be thinking about or want to be thinking about, or the questions that you have that may drive what you want to major in college. So in addition, there's TED Talks, right? We hear about them all the time. Same thing, drop in a search. I literally spent 3 minutes on the TED website and pulled all of these different things, right? The global food waste scandal for kids that might be interested in nutrition, health, or global health. What it takes to be a great leader, right? So if you're in ASB and, really enjoying that, or you want to be taking on leadership positions in yearbook or, journalism or something like that, well, you know what? Check it out. It might be really interesting. What it takes to be a great leader. It's actually one of the small brainstorming questions for one of the UC questions. If you're in a business, the business benefits of doing good, having some of those questions. Can you be business? Can it be profitable? But can you also do good? That's kind of a big question. And maybe that's something that really gets a student excited who's interested both in business and the community, or something like global health. TED Talks are short. They're experts from around the country, and it's really easy to go in there. I would say one could get lost if they had a little time. So I'd say set yourself some time limits, but that it really is a way to show, to be able to tell a college, I was interested in this, so I went off and I read, I watched these from these experts, and then it made me do whatever comes next.
And of course, there's always time to go out and get a job. As we look, there are, on this slide, there are a lot of different options in terms of different places where students can go to look for employment as a high schooler. I love when students go out and get a job because I feel like it shows a sense of responsibility. It can teach them how to manage your time and your schedule and how to communicate that time and schedule with your boss, your parents, your your sports teams, those kinds of things. It gives them a chance to meet new people, follow directions, learn new skills. And then on top of that, maybe even managing their money, learn how to pay taxes, gain this independence, real world hands-on experience that you wouldn't really get unless you were a paid employee somewhere. So these are just suggestions of places to go out to look for jobs. I don't think it has to be necessarily anything that relates to, your interests. It could just be something to get out there to meet new people. And those are just suggestions. Another thing that students often look for is gaining a chance to travel abroad. I know I was not somebody who probably could have done that in high school, but looking back, I wish that I would have been able to travel abroad. So there's school exchange programs with maybe your world language teachers or any kind of programs through clubs at school. Amigos and Global Glimpse are both international organizations that give students a short training before they take them abroad. And then most often they go abroad to do some sort of service learning project in that country or in a different country. And I feel like these are just a great way to, one, use the language you've been practicing, two, a lot of colleges and a lot of businesses are functioning in like this global market, this global economy. And so they're looking for globally minded people. And so for students to be able to say, I've already had this experience, I think that is amazing. And then best, I think, is just the personal development that the student feels, that sense of independence, getting connected to what's going on in the world outside of the high school bubble. And also maybe even to discover new interests and make new friends. So I think travel abroad is a great way to get out there and do something different.
So getting out there, there's a lot of events going on in the Bay Area at any given time. And so one of the things that I did was simply go on Eventbrite, which is what a lot of schools and community organizations use to publicize their events. So I went in, I put the search area to a certain amount, I put it to the types of things I was interested in, and actually these three things popped up. So one is the Health Matters Conference at Stanford. So any student that's interested in getting, potentially becoming a doctor or a nurse or someone in the medical field, it's a 2-day conference and there's tons of talks that students can attend that can be really, really helpful. The Carlmont Rethinking the College Arms Race, What Do Companies Really Want? That's at Carlmont High School on March 6th. And then it had something for the Diller Teen Fellows Information Night, which is a group that does community service and also travels abroad. So there's a lot of these places that students and families and parents are going to get information for other stuff. You can actually get stuff for summer. You can get stuff for during the school year, and also just start to learn about other organizations in your community that can really help you get involved in a meaningful way.
And then just having a college experience. So it could be very eye-opening to not only what kind of college you're looking for, but also kind of show that demonstrated interest early on, that you were looking at the school's website, trying to find programs that had that college had for high school students to see if that's a good fit for you. So most places have a pre-college summer program like Brown, USC, Emory, Northwestern, Berkeley, and it kind of just link those beneath. There's also the National Youth Leadership Conference, which is in many different cities that students can take courses, hear speakers that are well known in their fields, and there's a ton of different subject matter that they can go into. If you're looking into engineering, the Cal Poly Summer Engineering Program is a great way to explore the different fields in engineering, and also the Santa Clara Summer Engineering Seminar, same type of thing. So even just reaching out and looking on your Naviance website, those kinds of things will kind of look how to find these college experiences a little bit later. Or even attending an athletic camp, a music camp, an art camp, or a dance intensive if, engineering, all of that isn't your thing. That might be another way to kind of get out there and see a college campus. And then you hear a lot now these buzzwords, research or internships for students. Some of our ideas, if you're really interested in research, the highest being, create your own inquiry project. So if there's something that interests you that's been, on your mind for a while, you could create your own research project and kind of take that from step one all the way to finish. There's the Stanford Medical Research Program where they allow students to come on campus and complete research there. Startup Wonder was one I found that hires or that takes student interns and works with them on different startup companies. So they work with the student to give them different tasks to be able to complete. Design the Future and Cosmos are also local hands-on programs that you can get involved with. Cosmos is through the UCs, and Design the Future is through Stanford. And it could be as simple as doing a job shadow or having coffee with a professional in your field. So it doesn't have to be so formal as research and internships, but just kind of taking that initiative to find out more about things that you're interested in to show that intellectual curiosity. So where can I go to look? Community college websites are a great place. In Naviance or Family Connection, whatever your school calls it, under the summer programs tab, there are a ton of different places you can go to look for summer programs. Your local college and career center may have options within your communities that are free, that you don't have to travel far. Obviously, your college comm counselor is a great resource for that. We love doing this research and trying to find helpful information for you guys to go out and figure out what you want to do. And then these following 3 websites, Teen Life, Summer Discovery, or even the Dow Jones News Fund, are also great places to explore those options.
So what's the time frame? Like I said, it's anywhere from 2 hours to 2 months when we're talking about summer. And that's kind of what students have to decide. And maybe you can do a 2 hours and a 2 days, that there's a lot of different options, and that you do have an incredible span in terms of how much time you can spend over the summer kind of looking into things that might help you figure out what you want to major in. A lot of programs will have an application essay, a resume, and a letter of recommendation. And a lot of them are typically due sort of the end of February or sometime in March. So that's something you need to be looking out for depending on the opportunity that you want to take advantage of. I think our goal is that you start now, you get some ideas, and then you look at what the opportunities might be that match those ideas. And that it's actually pretty important too to have a contingency plan. So if you're applying to the Cal Poly Engineering Program and you think, gosh, this is what I'm going to do for this week during the summer, and it comes back and you don't get a spot in the week that you wanted, then you need to have a contingency plan. What are some other things that you can do in case that doesn't work out? So the last one is, of course, don't I deserve a break over the summer? And yes, we here at College Comm absolutely believe that summer is also a time to play for everyone, young, old, adolescent, middle-aged. We encourage everybody to have some playtime, some downtime, some family and friend time. I think I cannot stress enough that summer is, a time for kids to recharge. And if you're going into your senior year, you need some recharging. If you're going into your junior year, you need some recharging. Even if you're going into your sophomore year, you need some time to be a kid and have fun. So the goal of this presentation is not to say you have to do one of everything that we just described. It is simply to show you that there's a lot of different ways, and you have to figure out what's best for you and how much time you want to put towards something over the summer. That it's a very individual choice. We're the ones who kind of sit down and say, we're challenging you this summer, no matter what year it is, to do something to better understand what you want to major in. But the ideas and the follow through and the opportunities all are coming from you. So we really do encourage you to connect with us on this. We're happy to talk about things that you've thought about or things you might be applying to, or if you're not even sure where to start. We're here to kind of connect with students. So for the last couple seconds, I just wanted to show you a couple of things like the edX. So on edX, you can go by popular subjects. And you can see that these are some of the institutions that are putting together the different classes. And so Michigan X is University of Michigan, right? And this is Inspiring and Motivating Arts and Cultures team. So, a student who is both interested in the arts and in business, maybe that's something that would be interesting to look at. And you'll see that a lot of them are self-paced. In Coursera, you can do the same thing. A lot of them are the same, or there's a few different universities on Coursera as opposed to edX. But you can see how many classes there are, 783 for business. And so you can go through and look at those. That's not one that's related. Sorry. All right. Then you also have TED Talks, right? Again, just go in here, type in some things that you might be interested in, some things that have piqued your interest. I got to say, are athletes really getting faster, better, stronger in the Olympic time? Totally fascinated by that. So click on it, see what happens. Eventbrite, again, you can do search for specific events, or you can do all events, you can do the next month, and a lot of things will come up on this side. You can browse by category of different things to get involved in, and then I think you can actually, when you do your search, you can actually do the search parameters to get better things suited towards what you're interested in. So essentially, basically this is just Science Magazine, and they have a ton of podcasts and a ton of videos on sort of cutting edge science research. So if science is your thing and you want to know what's going on out there, the changing face of urban air pollution, what does that look like? If you're more of a bio person and you really got into pollinating and genes and all that, that could be your thing. Videos, articles, all kinds of things to kind of pique your interest. Then this is hardcore history that we talked about. And so a lot of it is just a lot deeper discussions of different time periods of history. And a lot of them go way, 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 way far back. And then this is the conference at Stanford, the Health Matters Conference, which they're having again on May 19th, and you do need to register. But then it says the digital videos of the 6 of last year's presentations are on iTunes and they're podcasts. And a lot of those are free. You just download them to your phone. You can listen to them while you're walking the dog, emptying the dishwasher. Anytime that you have your headphones in, there's probably some interesting podcasts you could be listening to. So that's just kind of a little bit of the different areas. And there we are, right at 30 minutes. So we thank you for participating or listening to this later. And please get in contact with your College Comm counselor to schedule a meeting sooner rather than later if you want to talk about summer opportunities.